Welcome to the deep dive. For generations, we've all heard those stories, right? That what you eat before bed, it can mess with your dreams.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Usually just dismissed as, folklore, an old wives' tale, maybe.
Exactly. But what if I told you there's actually some new, pretty compelling research backing this up? And it points to this kind of unsettling link between nightmares and, well, something like a late-night cheese snack.
It's true. And it's really fascinating stuff. So today, our mission is to really dig into the findings from this recent study. It was published in Frontiers in Psychology.
Okay.
And it surveyed, over 1,000 students. It really tries to unpack how your stomach might be talking to your dreams, so to speak.
Wow. And here's the kicker, the real head turner right away.
Yeah?
People who ate dairy before bed, they were significantly more likely to have disturbing dreams.
Yeah. And the reason, which we'll get into, seems to be gut discomfort, just messing with sleep.
Right. Makes sense.
Exactly. The study found a pretty robust connection between nightmares and specifically lactose intolerance.
Ugh.
Lactose intolerance. Oh,
Yeah. Dr. Tor Nielsen, he's from Université de Montréal, one of the lead authors, he put it really clearly. He basically said, nightmare severity is robustly associated with lactose intolerance and other food allergies.
So, hold on. If you're someone who gets nightmares a lot, or you know someone who does,
Yeah.
maybe just changing what you eat could help, especially if you have a food sensitivity.
That's the implication, yeah. It's a compelling thought. And it might even explain why dairy gets blamed in all that folklore,
That's wild. Okay, so let's break down this study itself. How did they figure this out?
Right. So the researchers, they surveyed on the 1,082 students. These were students at McEwen University.
Okay.
And they asked them all sorts of things, sleep patterns, what their dreams are like, general health, and crucially, their eating habits.
And what came out of that? Any standout numbers?
Yeah, quite a few, actually. Roughly a third of the students said they had frequent nightmares, which is, kind of a lot when you think about it.
A third. Yeah. And interestingly, women in the study were more likely to report having poor sleep, remembering their dreams more vividly, and also reporting food intolerances or allergies.
Interesting correlations there.
Definitely. And get this, about 40%, so almost half, believe that certain foods or just eating late affected their sleep somehow.
Okay, so a general feeling that food matters for sleep.
Right. And then 25%, so a quarter, actually pointed to specific foods making their sleep worse.
Did they see a link between general diet quality and dreams?
They did, yeah. Students who generally ate less healthy diets, they tended to have more unpleasant dreams and were actually less likely to remember them.
Huh. Less likely to remember them. That's curious. So, okay, beyond dairy, what other foods were people blaming for bad nights?
Well, the main ones that popped up were sweets, spicy foods, and, dairy again.
The usual suspects then, kind of.
Sort of. But what's really interesting is only about 5.5% felt their diet affected the tone of their dreams, like made them weirder or scarier.
Okay, a small group.
A small group, but within that group, many specifically called out sweets or dairy as making dreams more disturbing or bizarre.
So even with other foods mentioned, dairy keeps coming up, especially for the weirdness factor.
It really does seem to stand out. When the researchers compared food intolerances directly against bad dreams and poor sleep, well, lactose intolerance was significantly associated with GI symptoms, nightmares, and low sleep quality.
So it's a triple whammy for the lactose intolerant who eat dairy before bed.
Exactly. It strongly suggests that eating dairy, if you're intolerant, triggers gut issues and that physical discomfort directly messes with your sleep quality and your dream content.
That's a really strong link. So how does that work? How does gas or bloating actually hijack your dreams? What's the mechanism?
Well, it seems like that physical discomfort, it's almost like an internal alarm clock going off, but subtly.
Okay.
Those sensations, the gas, the bloating, they might sort of sneak into your awareness while you're asleep, especially during REM sleep. That's the main dream stage.
Right, REM sleep.
Yeah. And Dr. Nielsen mentioned this too. He said, nightmares are worse for lactose-intolerant people who suffer severe gastrointestinal symptoms and whose sleep is disrupted.
So the worse the gut issues, the worse the nightmares.
Seems that way. And this fits with what we know generally about sleep, right? Other physical things like pain or even being too hot or cold, they can weave their way into our dreams.
Sure, I've had dreams like that.
Right. So the idea is that this gut discomfort disrupts the normal flow of REM sleep, maybe making dreams feel more negative or fragmented.
And frequent nightmares, they're not just unpleasant, they have real consequences.
Oh, absolutely. They often wake people up feeling dysphoric, just
Sure.
really uneasy or unhappy.
Yeah, that awful feeling.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
over time, it can lead to people almost becoming afraid to go to sleep, sleep avoidance.
Because they dread the nightmares.
Precisely. And either way, whether it's the waking up or the avoidance, it robs you of that crucial restful sleep you need.
Okay, so here's something interesting you mentioned earlier from the study, a bit of a twist. Fewer people in this study reported a link between food and dreams compared to an older study by the same researchers, like 11 years earlier.
Yeah, that was a curious finding. Dr. Nielsen and his colleague, Dr. Russell Powell, did a similar study back then.
So why the difference? Why fewer people noticing the link now?
Well, the researchers have a hypothesis. They think maybe, just maybe, public awareness about food intolerances has increased over the last decade or so.
Ah, okay, so people might already know they react badly to certain foods.
Exactly. So the students in this newer study might just be eating fewer of those trigger foods to begin with compared to students 11 years ago.
That makes a lot of sense. And if that's true, wow, the takeaway for you listening is pretty direct, isn't it?
It really is. It suggests that just simple dietary changes, being a bit more mindful of what your body handles well, could potentially improve your sleep and maybe even your overall health.
A potentially simple fix for a potentially big problem.
Potentially, yes. But, we have to be careful not to oversimplify. Beyond this really specific, strong link with lactose intolerance,
Yeah.
it's still not totally clear how the whole sleep-diet relationship works more broadly. It's that classic chicken or egg thing.
Do you sleep badly because you eat badly? Or eat badly because you're tired and sleep deprived?
Exactly. Or is there some other factor influencing both? We don't fully know yet.
So, more research needed, as always.
Definitely. The journey isn't over. We need to look at more people, different ages, different lifestyles, different diets, to see if these findings hold up outside of a university student population.
Make sure it's generalizable.
Precisely. And, crucially, we need actual experiments, not just surveys. We need studies to confirm if people can really detect how specific foods affect their dreams.
Like, give people cheese before bed and see what happens.
Yeah, basically. An intriguing idea is a study where you give one group, say, cheese products, and another group a placebo, a control food, before sleep.
And then monitor their sleep. Brain waves, dream reports.
Exactly. See if it actually changes their sleep patterns or what they report dreaming about. That would be really telling.
That would be fascinating. Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the main message for everyone listening?
I think the big takeaway is that the connection between your gut and your brain is real, and it's powerful. It seems to extend even into your subconscious, into your dreams.
Yeah, it's not just about digestion.
Not at all. So the practical point is maybe pay a little more attention to what you eat, especially things like dairy, particularly late at night. It can be a surprisingly simple key to better sleep, maybe fewer bad dreams.
A straightforward thing to try, at least.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads to a final thought to chew on, doesn't it?
Go on.
Well, if something as common as dairy can potentially have this profound effect on our sleep and our subconscious,
Yeah.
what else might be going on? What other seemingly small choices we make every day, food, habits, lifestyle, might be quietly shaping our inner worlds in ways we haven't even considered yet?
That really makes you think about the hidden impact of our daily choices. A lot to consider.
It really does. This deep dive just highlights how connected everything is when it comes to our well-being.